Hey guys, it's Michelle with All Ears English. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today on this episode, Lindsay and I talk about how to start a conversation with someone who is working. What do you say? What are some things that you can ask yourself to decide how you want to move forward with this interaction? Maybe the person's busy, right? We have to think about these kinds of things. So we will go over all of this on today's episode, and it is super useful so you can have positive interactions with people while they're working and know what to do and what to say. Anyway, remember that you can also test your English level with All Ears English. So you can test your fluency level at allearsenglish.com/fluency score. Okay, so here you can take a quiz to test this level, short quiz, and then you can get tons of free resources to practice your English for your level. So go to allearsenglish.com/fluency score. All right, enjoy the episode.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 1052. 3 questions to consider when you start a conversation with someone who is working.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast. Downloaded more than 50 million times, we believe in connection, not perfection. With your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Boston and New York City, USA. And to get your transcripts delivered by email every week, go to allearsenglish.com/subscribe. You enter someone's workplace and you want to start a conversation with that person in English, but what should you keep in mind and how can this vary across cultures? Find out today.
Hey, Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey there, Michelle. I am feeling good today. I'm happy to be on the mic. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Boston.
Yeah, oh, good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I'm excited to record too. And I have to tell you, the coolest thing happened to me yesterday.
What happened to you yesterday?
I had 2 separate students come to me and tell me that they listened to our show.
No way.
Yeah. I met
That's
a student
so crazy.
for one of the students I was meeting for the first time, and she came in and she said, "Hi, Michelle, I have to tell you that I listened to the show." So that was so cool. And yeah, the other one had been listening for a while, and she said, "Oh my gosh, that's you." And it was just like this crazy cool moment where I got to meet listeners when I was not expecting to.
Oh, that is the coolest thing ever. I love it. We have listeners all over the world and we are all listening in together as a community, right? With our belief in connection, not perfection. So you guys hopefully were able to connect on that idea too.
Yeah, actually we definitely were. And one of the students, we were talking about something, and I think something with the word connection or something came up, and she, or a similar sounding word maybe.
Yeah.
And the student goes, "Oh, connection, not perfection."
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so true. It's so true. I love that.
Yeah. Definitely. So that was awesome. So, hey guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys at school.
That's so cool. Shout out to our listeners, to Michelle's students there. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Michelle, today I want to start off, before we get started into what we're going to talk about today, Michelle, I want to take a minute, as usual, to recognize our reviewers in Apple Podcast and Stitcher Radio. So special thank you to Sham Sulo 10 from USA, Sting Bean Bass from USA, and Kenji Hirao from Japan, and Sita Tamang from Korea. These guys reviewed us inside their podcast player. So guys, thank you so much for your reviews,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
These are great reviews. These are so awesome. So cool.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And if you haven't reviewed us yet, please go ahead and do it. We want to see what you think about the show. And we want you to ask your question that you want to be featured on the show inside your review, because we read those all the time.
Yeah, for sure. We love it. Thank you so much again. And yeah, keep those questions coming. They're great.
Yeah. And we are going to answer a student question today too, right, Michelle? What are we talking about?
Today we're talking about speaking to people when they're in their place of work.
Yeah, this is so important because there's so much involved around context when it comes to choosing what to say to someone at work, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of like, I mean, it's not a typical situation, right? When you're talking to somebody at work, they're doing their job, and especially if you're not working, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a different way of talking to someone who's just hanging out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So that's where we need to consider everything that's going on, like the kind of workplace we're in, how the environment feels. All this stuff goes into our choice of words. And you guys are ready for this. You guys are ready for this level of thinking when you speak English, you know, this level of kind of planning and what's the word, kind of being intentional around your English.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, well, this actually comes to us because we had a great listener question as we were talking about.
Okay.
So, Lindsay, could you read us the question?
Yeah, I'm going to read Felipe's question. Hi, my name's Felipe Beluco. I'm from Brazil, and I've been listening to All Ears English for a year now. And you can't imagine how wonderful and helpful it is for me to have this immersive English experience practically every day. Awesome.
Yay.
That's so cool. It makes me so happy to hear that. You are my company when I'm going to work and back home. A bunch of thanks. Or you could say thanks a bunch. That works too. All right. I have a question. When I travel to the US, I often get myself having some trouble connecting with native people in their workplace, like greeting a waitress in a restaurant or asking for information to a police officer, etc. People in Brazil are very informal in these situations, but it doesn't seem very similar in the US. It would be great if you could simulate the best approach to reaching out to people in their workplace. Once again, thank you very much for this awesome podcast. Love it.
Okay. Felipe, I love this question.
Yeah, such a good question, Felipe, and so important. Again, you guys are ready for this. We are here to push you to that next level, and this episode is going to help you do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I love how Felipe kind of like gives us a little peek into what it's like in Brazil, right? Like talking about things being informal. So that's interesting too. So we get like kind of a good idea of where he's coming from.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So a lot of this is cultural. You know what I mean? The way we talk to someone when they're involved in their daily work might be different across cultures. Like, is it okay to just run and start a casual conversation with anyone at any time? Not necessarily in the US while they're working.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So today, you know, I thought that we could focus on general things to keep in mind when you speak with people when they're at work, right? Yeah. So, I don't know if Felipe wants interactions for each separate profession or more so general ideas, but we're gonna focus kind of like on general things for a couple different professions, and maybe some basic phrases and vocab you can use in these interactions. So, so do you think our culture is formal, Lindsay?
I think there's just a lot of things that we have to keep in mind. So it's kind of like a checklist of ideas in our mind that we have to have. So it's not so much yes, it is or no, it's not. It's too broad, right? That question. So instead, let's talk today about what are the questions we have to ask ourselves to sense into the environment to decide whether we can just go up to the person and start an informal conversation, or there are other things we need to do to make sure it's okay to start talking to them.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. I think that's really important. So what's the first thing do you think that we should ask ourselves in these situations?
Okay, so we walk into the workplace and we ask ourselves, is this typically a job where the person is supposed to spend a lot of time talking to the client or the customer? Are you thinking here like for example, working in retail, maybe? You mean like
right, exactly, yeah. So like, is this basically? I think that's what we would call it, like a people-facing job, right?
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah, I like that term.
So like, for example, like let's talk about waiter and waitress, although I wrote waitress and waitress. So that's a people-facing profession, where they will likely want to engage you, right? They want to get a tip here. They want to have conversation. Part of being a waiter or a waitress is having these interactions, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say with one caveat there, as long as you are their customer, right? So if you walk into a restaurant and you spot someone you want to talk with, maybe you notice that person, but they're busy with their own customers and you're just getting seated, like you're waiting to be seated by the host. I wouldn't go up to them, to that waiter or waitress that you sort of know, and try to start a conversation if you're not their customer.
Right. So, yeah. The boundaries are important, right?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So it's not just willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly. I love that
go
expression.
up to anybody. And also, I mean, I don't want to get into this too much because it's a whole other topic, but like, sometimes I feel like, I'll be at a restaurant and maybe the person that I'm with knows that it's not the waitress, but they ask somebody else for something. Like they'll ask like whoever's walking by, and then that person always seems a little like, oh, okay, I'm not your waitress. You know what I mean? Do you ever have that?
Oh, for sure. So if you ask the wrong waiter or waitress for something, you mean?
Yeah, like maybe because you haven't seen yours in a while.
Yeah.
That's kind of like an interesting situation. Maybe we can do a follow-up on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, I think it is very location specific. So in a restaurant, I mean, your waiter is your waiter and you can engage with them on a little bit of a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get seated at the table, maybe you know that person a little bit, you want to start a conversation. But if they're not your waiter or waitress, I wouldn't go up to them, and because they're so busy. I mean, that's the point. You and I have both worked in restaurants.
Yes.
Serving tables, and you are incredibly busy. You don't have time to stop and talk to anyone. No way.
Yes. But definitely if it's your waiter or waitress, something to, you will likely be able to talk to them. However, we'll get into the next question in a second. So yeah, I mean, if you need something from a waiter or a waitress, you just say something like, oh, excuse me, sir, or excuse me, miss, or hi, how are you? You can feel comfortable interacting with them because they have this attitude of like, the customer is always right. They really want to please you.
Yeah, because a lot of restaurants are based on tips, right?
Yeah.
A lot of we've talked about this before, but if you guys are in the app, you could type in the search bar just restaurant or serve waitress or waiter, and something might come up around tipping culture and that kind of thing. So good.
Exactly.
So who else falls under this category then?
Well,
whether people facing. What are the 7 simple secrets to connection in English? Find out right away in your free video lesson at allearsenglish.com/secrets. We'll show you the 7 things that you need to do in English to connect with native speakers immediately and to learn English. Go to allearsenglish.com/secrets.
Well, this one, I mean, is a little bit different. I mean, this is a police officer because Felipe was asking about police officers. So the police officer is there to help, but they're different. I don't think that a police officer is like meant to have a long conversation, right? They have their eye out for what's going on, right?
Yeah, I agree. So they, I wouldn't try to engage them on any level of depth in a conversation.
Right.
They might kind of talk to you, but you might notice that their attention is divided between you and something else. Whatever they're watching, maybe they're at an event, they're patrolling an event or something.
Right.
Then they're going to have their eye on the crowd.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if you need something, you can just say like, oh, excuse me, officer, if you need to ask directions or if you want to tell them something, whatever. But I wouldn't say that this is people facing in the same way that a waiter or waitress is.
Yeah. I wouldn't try to go into too much of a conversation with a cop if they're on duty.
No. And then the last one is just like somebody working maybe at a checkout counter that I wanted to mention, like a grocery store or at an airline, right? So those people I think are also a little bit, they'll talk to you, but I don't think I think the waiter or waitress is where you're going to get the best conversation, right? Like there's usually not that much chit chat at, in the grocery store or at an airline counter, right? But you can always ask people questions, right?
Yeah, I mean, it also depends. I agree in terms of the profession itself. I suppose it depends if you go to like an old general store in a small town in my home state, like New Hampshire, New England or something. You could probably have a conversation with the person at the checkout counter because it's an old general store. It's quiet. It's the countryside. It's slow. But in general, in places like New York or Boston, you're not going to have much of a conversation with the person at the checkout counter.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. So what's the second thing that we need to think about, Lindsay?
Well, is the person busy? I mean, clearly, right? I mean, people get really busy at work and they may not want to be bothered.
Right. Yeah. Because if the person is busy, I'm just going to say they're in like just business mode, right? They just want to get their stuff done. Like they have to, it's like a one-track mind, right? Getting their work done. I mean, and this, sometimes I guess this could be frustrating if you have a waiter or a waitress who that you want to chat to, you want to ask questions to, and they're basically like, running around so much. So, just try and keep what you're saying appropriate for the amount of time you can see that the person has, right? If they're not busy, you can feel free to have some small talk with them, like comment on the food, ask for their recommendations or whatever. But, with a waiter or waitress, it's not enough to say, oh, they're just here to chat with me, right? You got to kind of watch how busy is the restaurant, how busy are they?
Yeah. And I think this is the part that could be really cultural because I think in different cultures, we look at working and socializing, or in the US, I think we separate often in a lot of professions, especially more in like the business world, in 9-to-5 corporate jobs. I think a lot of American culture is kind of separating like working and socializing, whereas I think in different cultures around the world, they're blended together. You can't have one without the other. It's like building the relationship is doing business. Right. You know what I mean? But I think we tend to compartmentalize the two in the US. I'm speaking very generally here right now, but that's something to keep in mind. You know, not everyone thinks about work in the same way. What am I doing? Am I socializing and working, or am I just working and later I'm going to socialize?
Right. Exactly. What do you think about like a police officer with the busy thing? We kind of touched on this a little bit.
I wouldn't go near a police officer that's busy and try to have a conversation. No, because they need to protect the public. They need to keep their eye on things. They're probably trained to scan a crowd. If, like I said, if they're at a farmer's, these days you see cops at farmers markets, you see them at street fairs, and they are busy. They have a job to do. So no, I wouldn't try to engage with a cop.
Right. And even if you can't tell that they're busy, even if they're just like looking around, like they're probably busy. We don't know what they're doing, right? So keep your questions short. If there's a concern you have, right, then of course you can take more time, but you want to keep it. That's pretty much a business job, I think. Like, you can't just like have a lot of small talk. So, and then check out, I think those people are generally busy. There was a woman who worked at the counter of my grocery store and she loved to talk even when she was busy. So you have to feel it out and see if that person is comfortable multitasking and if they want to talk to you.
Yeah, for sure. You get to know the person. And what's the third thing, Michelle, that we would keep in mind?
How formal is the situation or the profession, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, in this situation, I think if it's like a fancy restaurant, your language choice might be different, right? Than if it's like a McDonald's or a casual restaurant. Like for more formal situations, you may want to say phrases like, oh, would it be possible to substitute the fries for the salad? I think we did a recent episode on that. While in a more casual restaurant, you could say like, can I get the fries instead of the salad, right? So like, you want to think about like, what language are you using? Is the person available to talk, right? Like, again, like McDonald's is more of a checkout counter, right? So it's not really like waiter or waitress service, but still some places are more like cafes where it's less formal, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, no, that's true. So there's a number of things that we want to kind of analyze in our head. And obviously, these are all going to come to mind at the same time. We're not going to go through a checklist in our mind very methodically, but we can get a sense of what our place is in terms of starting conversations with these people. We can get a sense of it, guys, for sure. But it is very cultural. You know what I mean? I think it's so different across cultures. And that's the one thing to understand.
Right. Exactly. Definitely. Yeah. So like for a police officer, I mean, I think they're generally spoken to in a more formal way, right? That's why we say like officer, the formal title.
Yeah. Excuse me, officer. Right.
Yeah. And then at the checkout counter, that's usually pretty casual, although maybe the airport, like an airport counter may be slightly more formal.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, for sure. Get your ticket and be on your way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, we have to remember these 3 questions and that'll kind of dictate where we, take the conversation, if we start a conversation or not. But always, I mean, I would say that I go through these questions in my head and like, this is, a very good thing to think about, like these 3 questions. So, what do you think, Lindsay? What's the takeaway for today?
So, I mean, it's a really good point that Felipe made by mentioning that in his culture, things are much more casual. Like conversations might just start out of the blue in any situation, or that's what we understand from your question, Felipe. So sometimes it's casual here too, but then other times, it really depends on where you are. As we've said, these 3 things. It depends on the situation, the profession. So you want to ask yourself these 3 things as you enter that situation so you know whether or not you want to go and start a conversation and what you can say. So culture is always there. You know what I mean? It's always there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, ask these questions, and, let us know how it goes. Let us know if you have any interesting interactions with people while they're at work.
Yeah, such a good topic. Thanks for this question, Felipe. And we love that you're listening to the show so often. That is so cool. And by the way, guys, if you're taking the IELTS this fall, then the one resource that you need next is the IELTS Energy Podcast. So go into your podcast player and type in IELTS Energy Podcast. It's going to come up. It's me and Jessica that host it 3 times a week, and you're going to get all the info that you need. So go on over there. We'll see you guys there. So cool.
Awesome.
Okay,
this
Michelle.
has been fun.
Yeah, this has been good. Good question from Felipe, and we will be back here on the show very soon. All right?
All right. Can't wait. Have a good one. Bye, Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to All Ears English. And if you need a 7 or higher on your IELTS exam to achieve your life vision, then our Insider Method can get you there. Start with our free video series masterclass. Get video 1 now at allearsenglish.com/INSIDER. And if you believe in connection, not perfection, then subscribe to our show on your phone or on your computer. See you next time.